During the exterior inspection, check that the APU compartment access door is closed and verify the condition of the APU air intake. You also have to check that the APU exhaust is clear and verify that the APU fire extinguisher overpressure red disc is in place. For more details on this red disc, refer to the Fire Protection chapter. You are in the initial cockpit preparation phase. In this example, external power is connected. Let's start the APU. First, select the APU master switch to switch it on. Observe that the on light illuminates. The ECAM APU page is automatically displayed, and the green flap open indication appears when the APU air inlet flap is fully open. The APU can now be started using the Start Push Button switch. Note, you do not have to wait for the flap open indication prior to pressing the Start Push Button switch. However, the APU will not start until the flap is fully open. Select the APU Start Push Button switch to switch it on to initiate the automatic start sequence. The on light illuminates blue in the Start Push Button switch to indicate that the automatic start sequence has begun. Click on the forward arrow and observe the APU end speed and exhaust gas temperature parameters. At approximately 95% end speed, the on light on the Start Push Button switch extinguishes, and the avail light illuminates green, meaning that the APU parameters are normal and the APU is available to supply electrical power and bleed air. At the same time, the avail indication appears green on the ECAM APU page, and the APU avail memo is displayed on the engine warning display. About 10 seconds later, the ECAM APU page is replaced by the ECAM door page. For training purposes, we have recalled the ECAM APU page and displayed the air conditioning panel for you. In order for the APU to provide bleed air, switch APU bleed on and observe the corresponding indications on the ECAM. The blue on light appears in the APU bleed push button switch. The APU bleed valve opens with bleed air pressure available, and the green APU bleed memo replaces the APU avail memo on the engine warning display. The engines are now running. Because the APU is no longer required, you're going to switch it off. First, switch off the APU bleed. Observe that the APU bleed memo has disappeared on the engine warning display and is replaced by the APU avail memo. And the APU bleed valve closes with the corresponding ECAM indications when the valve is fully closed. Then select the APU master switch to switch it off.
The shutdown is initiated. Notice that the blue on light in the master switch push button extinguishes. However, the avail indications remain on because the APU runs for approximately 2 minutes to cool down.
During the cool down period, You can stop the shutdown process by pressing the master switch push button back to on, provided a veil is displayed. When the cool-down period is complete, the APU shuts down and a veil disappears. Click on the forward arrow to continue the shutdown sequence. The air inlet flap has closed, and the flap open indication has disappeared on the ECAM APU page. The shutdown is now complete. Let's now finish this module by presenting some APU limitations. The use of the APU for bleed air is limited to 17,500 feet maximum for 2 air conditioning packs operation.
The APU bleed air can be used for engine start up to 20,000 feet.
The use of the APU for bleed air is limited to 22,500 feet maximum for 1 air conditioning pack operation. The APU can be started using batteries up to 25,000 feet. You can start the APU with the normal alternating current power supply up to 37,000 feet. Note, the start altitude is increased to 41,000 feet if the APU has not been used for 2 hours. Electrical power from the APU can be used all the way to the maximum ceiling of the aircraft, 41,100 feet.